guides told me I should just speak from my heart. And one of the things that really I have a passion for is purpose, besides prosperity. And finding that prosperity in your life and that finding that purpose in your life. One of the things that I've been thinking about in the last couple of weeks is, what is my purpose? What brings me passion? What brings me joy? I mean, what does it really feel like? And of course, you know, I was puttering around my house and I went, oh, my passion, I really love my grandkids. And the four, you know, I have 3 grandsons and 2 granddaughters. And the boys just seem, I think they're at the ages that they can just hear and they soak up everything. And that's what I thought as I was walking through my house, and I went, oh, wait a minute, what about the girls? When I went to see them the last time I was in Tennessee, they said, Nanny, you have to go with us. We'll leave Mom and Dad here. And I went, okay, where are we going? Of course, we went to a rock store. And so they had to show me their local gym and rock store. So I thought, well, okay, that's about right. And another morning I went, oh, what do I really get happy with? And I thought of Jackson, my 20-year-old grandson. Yeah, that gives me joy. So I go to my phone, what do I see? It was a text message from Jackson that said, hi Nana, just thought of you, I love you. I went, really? That went, really? Oh. And that gave me joy. And I thought about it and I thought, that's not my purpose. Even though I love being a grandmother, that's not my soul's purpose. You know, and another thing about purpose is that it changes in life. What my purpose was when I was 16 to 18 was learning to be a mother and a wife. How am I going to do this? And then 20 to 30 was like, okay, now I learned prosperity and how to take risks with money. Those were my learning, I would say learning years. And then from 30 to 50, it was like, oh, I'm a single mom now, and I have kids at home. So my sole purpose at that time was to feed and clothe and nurture them. And I must have done something right because Jackson's did a class with me and he was saying things that I told him when he was 10. I was like, oh, yes. But then after that, it was like, I want more. You know, and in between I had read books about, you know, different philosophies. And it went from my heart to my head. And just learning. You know, I knew all these things were possible, or did I? I thought I did. You know, they were thought. And I started learning, and I was a sponge. So that, my purpose then was to learn. To learn different from, you know, your basic taking care of home and family and children. This was a time for me to learn about me, what filled my soul. And it was to learn that what I kept seeing in my mind, those were messages. Those were messages from my guides to go in this direction. So I held on to those precious moments. I'd go into a bookstore in Spokane or California or Oregon, wherever I would be, and I'd walk in, why am I here? What is calling my name? And I'd go to the books and I'd walk up and down the rows. And this is not a lie. This book flies off the shelf. Lands at my feet, yeah, and I'm looking around, I went, okay. So I kind of bent down and picked it up. And it was a book on, I think it was Yogananda, the thoughts of a yogi or something like that. And I went, oh, okay. And that was the start of my spiritual journey. It just began at that moment. Everything I read, it was like, just go within. Hear your voice. Hear it within. And of course, you all know me, I wanted more. I want more. And I can say that my first mentor was a little unorthodox, we'll say. And I learned a lot. I learned how to read tarot, the tarot cards. And I knew that I was good at it because I had my test was to read for him. Now, mind you, he was a man, very strong, egotistical man. And here I was so proud, and I'm reading his cards, and I knew they were the truth. He didn't like that much. So he took my cloth that I had handmade and just flipped it.
Wow.
My first instinct was to, how dare you do that? But inside I knew my purpose was to tell him that I had passed and learn from him because it was the truth. And when you read for someone, I learned that you have to be truth. You have to have that truth and integrity. And that's how I learned to develop. So as I grew, was that my purpose, just to read cards, read for people? I don't think so. I read for a lot of people. I have a lot of clients around the world. I wanted more. I wanted more. So I remember working with a friend of mine in Spokane. We would have, once a month, we would have a healing circle. People would come in, and Jackson was grounded that week, so he had to go with Nana to the healing. I had no idea he was a healer until that time. And we were holding the sacred space for the woman on the table, and I looked at Jackson and went, so he got up and went to the lady's head, and he was holding the space. We did our thing, everything was done, and she goes, who was standing by my head? Halfway through, it was just like, I look over at Jackson and goes, what? Yeah. So my purpose at that time was then to teach him how to use that gift more. And he really is good. He's a natural healer. And somehow he knows when people hurt. And it's just, okay, it's done. I mean, I have to really think about it. So then I remember also thinking about, what's my purpose? I remember the very first vision board I made. And at the time it was like, all right, we want to have a spiritual center. This girlfriend and I in Spokane. And I want people to come together, like-minded people, and grow and learn. Okay, so that was on my vision board. And everyone, all the 6 or 8 people there, all had this little boat. Well, it was a ship. And everyone wanted to go on a cruise. Single mom, no, that's not gonna happen. But everyone said you have to have this picture on your vision board. Okay, I did. And then of course there was this, I'll call it a little purse on there, and money coming out of it. And that really drew my attention. I went, okay, I want that. But something shifted when I was making that vision board. Was I don't want just money falling out of my purse. I want $20,000 left in my checking account after I paid all my bills in the month. Ooh, that was a real stretch. I put it on there, had an old register, put it on there. And then the other thing I saw was a picture of a road with the greenery going over the road. It just felt good. Of course, I put that on there. And about 4 months later, we're on the road to Anchorage, Alaska Highway. All of a sudden, oh my God, look at the road. Look at those trees. And at that time, I talked to my husband and I said, do you recognize that? Oh, wow. That's the picture you have at home. Yeah, here it is. Wow. Can it really work? I can tell you now that was just one of the tools that I've used on my journey to find my purpose. You know, it was to love of nature, love of trees, my love for prosperity. And there I am again. I'm thinking prosperity? I'm a single mom with, you know, I'm a manager, I make good money, but I don't know about that. And then it just, I had a drive. I had a drive to make prosperity work. And I love it. There's a check in the mail, There's a check in the mail, And then it just started happening. And I was like, oh, well, if I can do that, I can help others. I can help other people reach their dreams. How? How can I do that? And I thought about, I have a love of teaching. And so I thought, if I could teach people just to take a few moments in a day, clear your mind, get back down to nothing. I didn't want to call it meditating because when, back in those days, it was like, do you meditate? No? No. People would always tell me that. So then I just said, do you take a moment just to be quiet? You know, and even, that was hard for me because I've got 15 things going on in my head at the same time. Think nothing? I can do that. And it just started out just maybe a few minutes every day. Clear your mind, clear everything out. As you're sitting up in bed, as you're gonna start your day. And you look around and you feel where you are at the moment. Thank you. Thank you for this beautiful day that I have. And just enjoy it. That would be my passion. And I know that when I came to Earth, I knew that I had to make a difference. I keep remember hearing that all the time, even as a young girl. Making a difference. My sister didn't really like me very much. It's like, no, you have to like love yourself. You have to think beyond being restricted. If you're on restriction or you're grounded, look at it as a blessing. You just don't have to go out and play, or you don't have to go do this. You can just be quiet. No, it wasn't gonna work. But they eventually learned that by tapping into that unknown, things just happened. How did you know that all these things? I don't know. They just popped into my head. So of course, you know, at that age, you kind of think, am I crazy? But then when the things would happen, is it a coincidence? Were they talking to me? But it was my purpose to share that joy with other people. So when you realize what your purpose is, what is my purpose? I know yours is singing because it's a passion that gives you such joy. But your singing in your years has changed. And now you share that joy with all of us, and we feel it. And that brings you joy. That's part of a purpose. And you never would have said, I'm part of a leadership team. But you are. And she's learning. So the other thing, when you're asking yourself, what is my purpose? The thing that sometimes slips away is listening. Listen to what is your purpose. Your guides will tell you. Your guides will tell you, this is your passion. This is what you need to do. And when you go away from that purpose, you either get a little tap on the head, tap on your shoulder, and a lot of my friends, I'll say, do you want to hear that? Or do you want to get hit by a 2x4? Oh, you're still not going to hear. I got a 4x4 or 8x8. Oh, I was hit with one. I remember leaving work, and all of a sudden I got hurt. Well, that was the time that I got fired, and then I got hit. I mean, I not get hit by an 8x8, but I hurt my leg. So I went in to get a back massage, thinking that if I relaxed, and the girl that was giving me a massage, she says, so, do you want to learn more? And I looked at her and went, yeah. I didn't know her. So she changed my journey along my path. And it changed. And I grew. And I laughed about it afterwards, thinking I would never have taken that time to go get a massage. I don't have time in my life. It's too expensive. Nope, kids come first. But the universe had been telling me that I was ready to meet someone, but I didn't listen. So when you're asking yourself, what is my purpose on this path? What is my journey? And universe, God, please help me to listen. You don't need to be hit by a 2x4. And as I look around the room, I know that several of you have been hit with a 2x4. Oh, I knew that. Why didn't I remember? It's like, yeah. And then when you're listening, I had a lot of people say, well, how do I know it's spirit talking? How do I know that it's not me? How do I know that it's not monkey mind? There's lots of ways that we've learned, a lot of tools. One is your muscle testing. You know, Diane is a real firm believer in that. And another one is the pendulum. That's my favorite tool, because it always works for me. And it's, you know, if I was supposed to go do this, and it goes like this, that's like, well, I don't know. And if you choose to listen when it says yes, that's what you're supposed to do, and you start off on your journey, and you realize that, I don't think so. That's free will. You could change it. Because every moment that you decide that, well, maybe this isn't exactly for me, you can change it. We have that within us. But I can tell you, every time that I've strayed off of my path, the universe has a way of just bringing it back around. Now, I probably lost a lot of years from here to here, but I am where I need to be. And on that very first vision board that I made, I came across some of the sayings that I had put on there. And I kind of chuckled this week, because this week was Wendy's vision board. And I looked at it when I went home, and it was to be the leader at a spiritual center.
When did that happen?
Yeah, where did that happen?
And that was probably, I would say, close to 20 years ago.
Wow.
It never came to fruition. I learned a lot while I was there, of course, but I wasn't supposed to be there. I was supposed to be here. And if we think about the time that, because I've been the board president, I think about 3 years, and we really have changed. And it feels amazing. You know, I walk in and I could just feel the power that, the energy is just kind of like pulsates for me at times. I know that that's my purpose. And I listened. I really dug my feet when Laura asked me to come. It's like, okay, I'll come. What do you need? She goes, well, I just kind of want you to come. All right, I'll come. And it was probably the second time she says, oh, you know, you'd be a great leader. No, I just retired. No. Well, I'm busier now than I was when I worked. So I thought another thing is I was putting my vision board together this week. I was looking for the word communication. That's what I was looking for. And I found this word, celebrate. All right. Couldn't find communication, but I found celebrate. And over the fire, because fire was, I don't know what, I was obsessed with fire on Wednesday. Word fire, I needed fire. And everybody found fire for me. And wow, okay. And then when I got here, Carrie was telling me about, no, fire's over there. I have to see the fire. Fire, okay. But it was telling me fire lights. To me, being an earth sign, fire is like, pushes me. Really pushes me outside my comfort zone. And I don't know if Carrie was trying to tell me that we're pushing, we're gonna push. All right. So when you realize your passion and you're thinking about it, think about what actions you can take to get there. It's like, okay, I know that we need energy growth here at the center, or that's what our mission statement is. We want to offer all these classes to people that perhaps this isn't their Sunday church, but maybe this is their go-to place. And then all of a sudden it was like, this person does this person can teach this. Yes! And we're starting to fill up our calendars with classes. And when we have classes, I think there was only 3 of us at the Vision class on Wednesday from here that come here all the time. I think it was about 3 of us, plus Wendy, so maybe 4. There were a lot of people. And a couple of the girls, wow, this place really feels different. Thanks. You know, that's kind of like, you're doing it right, you're on the right track. So when you're on your path, a little bit here, a little bit there, but you need those little, thanks. Oh, or when you paint and somebody sees your paintings, I'm still waiting for my Buddha. I love that. But that's an expression of yours. I just, the talents and things that people are contributing, it just amazes me. And when you guys create something out of art, that's even better for me, because I don't paint, or I can put stuff together, but I don't paint.
Mhm.
But that's part of each one of you. Another part. And so that's a part of sharing and coming together. So is that your purpose? I don't know, I'm still learning. But remember that when you're looking for that purpose or passion or joy, when you are doing it, what feelings are you bringing up? Oh, felt so good. And to sit back on Wednesday and just listen to all the laughter and the jokes, and the way they were putting stuff together was way out of my comfort zone. I mean, I'm like, here's this, and it's paper or picture, but Wendy's was like 3D and glitter, and she did a yin yang sign that was on the top, and underneath were these pom-poms in the same color, like red, or no, black and white. Oh, wow. That's for sure. Had to push on it. It was just hysterical. It's like, ooh, okay. That was very much out of my comfort zone. But it was beautiful, and it was an expression. And everyone was having such a great time. But they were visioning. And they were dreaming. And they didn't know it. I think you had Italy on yours. And it made me think of travel. And I thought, oh, what would it feel like to go to Tuscany? And it was like, oh, yeah. And I thought of the food. And then I thought of the wine. And then I kind of went back and thought about the wine. And it also reminded me of that very first vision board. I had wine on there. I don't know where the wine came from, because I didn't drink wine then, but I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna go on a cruise, we're gonna have wine. Huh. And then when I went on my cruise, they did wine tasting on board. And Bob doesn't like wine, but he went with me. And it was a joyful remembrance when I got back home. And it was like, oh, yeah. And then I looked at the vision board that I made, what is Vinny here? No, it's been more than that, because I had my car on there, because I wanted a new car. I wanted the Toyota is what I wanted. And the reason I'm telling you this is that you can dream something and allow the universe to either make it happen to that specific or something better. So my car was my Subaru. So I kind of put on there, it's like, ooh, I got that. And then I saw the ship again, and I went, ooh, went to Alaska. Ooh. And I did a garden scene, that's still in the making, but it was like, oh, this is joyful. And I keep bringing back the vision board because it's speaking to your subconscious mind what you want. You know, there was fishing. I just looked at Ken and it reminded me of fishing. And I love to fish. So I had a little fishing pole on my very first one. And when I went to Alaska, I got to fish for silver salmon, and then, or red salmon, and then silver salmon. And I am a fisher person, and yeah, I outfished the guys. but it was amazing. And so fish is always still part of what I like. So every year I get to go back to Oregon and I fish with my stepdaughter and her husband now. And oh, it was so much fun. Because it teaches me patience and to communicate with the fish. Like, okay, I need something now. So that's my little fun thing. So when you're thinking about your purpose, you're dreaming, you're meditating, and you're thinking about it, and then you put it on a piece of paper. What are you looking for? It's a feeling that you get when you're doing it. You know, looking at water, looking at the ocean. You know, communicating with friends. My communication is coming from here these days, and I can think of someone, and they usually call. Or they'll send me a text. How do I know that? How do I do that? It just happens. Because that's my passion. And when I was an early mother, the kids were probably 12 and 10. And they would play outside, and we were at a time where kids played outside. And we didn't have this. They played. And they knew that when the street lights came on, they had 10 minutes to get home. Because then it was dark. And so I would go out, I look at my watch, and I'd go out, and at the time I would go, okay, you guys have 15 minutes, you better get home. Come on. And my older sister saw me doing that, and she goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm calling my kids. Oh, that's what you're doing. Okay. What happened? The kids came. They did every single time. Well, I learned later you don't have to do it like this, you just do it. So that was my purpose or my passion then, was to teach them to hear me. Was to teach them that they had that ability. And that they could use it anytime. Anytime. And then, I remember one time, Wick didn't believe what I was telling him. I went, okay, don't do it. I think they were in high school. Don't go out. Their thing was to go out and destroy pumpkins for Halloween. I said, I don't know what you're planning, but you boys don't do it. Moral of the story, you should have listened to his mom. Now, out of 12 boys out doing this, whose son gets caught? And at the time, I worked for the cop shop out of Spokane. So the local PD and sheriff's department, fire department, they all knew me. They called, hey V. Oh, what now? Oh, I'll be right there. So of course, you know, I had to go down there shamefully. So they learned to listen. Learn to listen this way and through here. But as we develop those things, everyone has it. So if we would use that instinct that we have, we would hear when God, the universe, your spirit guides are talking to us. Each one of us has that. Each one of us knows in our hearts what our purpose is. And if it's not a purpose, then what's your passion? What's your passion right here, right now? Because if you think about it right here, right now, that's a starting point. And I think when Wendy was talking about it on Wednesday, She says, don't think about so far in the future. Think about right now, right this minute. And I thought, right now, right this minute? No, I don't want to think about that. And because that day, Wednesday, I was getting messages about the Anunnaki. And I was, David, I'm not ready to talk about the Anunnaki. I don't even know what it is. And I thought he was telling me one thing, and I was looking it up, and I went, this is not what you're talking about. So I think you told me how to spell it. I had researched Enoch, and they're completely different, but it's still tied into what I was talking about today, meaning psychic ability. And the psychic ability is to hear when Spirit talks. Spirit will nudge you along your path. If you just take the moment and breathe. So let's take that purpose and that passion that we have into a short meditation. And as you breathe in from Mother Earth, bring it up. Hold it for a second and push it out through your heart chakra. And again. And the last one, bring from the universe above us. Bring it down through us and out through the heart chakra. Opening up your heart, opening up to the earth. The earth has power. The earth keeps us grounded, and the universe shows us our way. And when you take a step forward towards your passion, towards your journey, it just takes one step in the right direction. Stop for a moment, and as you look along this path, you can see one path is a long, windy road. The other path is a little straighter, but it's illuminized. Wow, that one really feels great. And it brings a different perspective to you. So we're going to go down that path. Wonder what it'll show us. And realize that each one of us, it's going to be different. And yet, it's going to be the same because we are all here today to find our purpose. And together, we have a passion for raising vibration for our spiritual center. And we can feel it. So come back together. And I'll close with knowing that my passion is prosperity. And I really nowadays have to be purposeful in what I ask for. Because when I ask for something, it happens. And it happens fast. When I was younger, it didn't happen as fast. But now it's like I stand and last week, and I've been talking about it for the last couple months, the floors downstairs. It's like, everything else looks great, but these floors are killing me. Well, Bea, what are you gonna do about it? I wanna make it happen. So the floors are getting put in tonight. And it'll be, everything is going together to make our center look and feel like it is, thriving. Thriving. That's exciting. It just feels wonderful. So if I can do what I do for prosperity, just think what each one of you could do for yourselves. And it's like Patty talking about her house. Knowing that she's going to get into a house, what's it going to feel like when you get into a house and then stepping back and allowing the universe to help you, to show you, just by allowing, because something better might come along. I mean, you looked at a lot of different houses. I kind of like my house. What happens? You get a new house. But it's the same one, but it's yours. All right, I'm done. I'm saying I talk too much. Okay.